Hi there, this is a video that I've put together to cover some information about the upcoming SATs tests and what to expect, as I know lots of you had questions around that, so I will try my best to answer them. Now, the SATs are national tests that children across the country sit in Year 6 each May. The dates this year, is they're taking place in the week beginning Monday the 8th of May. Now, normally they run from Monday through till Thursday, where they do a test or two each day. However, it's slightly different this year because of the extra bank holiday on Monday the 8th of May for the coronation. So instead they're running from the Tuesday to the Friday that week, from the 9th to the 12th of May. It's the same as normal, but it's just everything's pushed back a day, basically. They all take place at school, so you don't need to go anywhere different. It's all within school hours. And the children do them either in one of the classrooms, or some children in the hall. We spread them out a little bit to give them more space, or maybe into smaller rooms for children that may find it harder to focus in a larger environment. Children have already had a bit of experience of this anyway, in the way that we've run our practice papers recently, so that they get a feel of what to expect. Now, in terms of what tests take place that week, they start on the Tuesday, the 9th of May, and they have two short papers around SPAG, which is spelling, punctuation and grammar. The first is a test booklet that's 45 minutes on various questions around grammar and punctuation. And then that's followed straight after by a spelling test. And essentially, this is where we read out words to them as part of a sentence, and they have to write the word that we ask for down. And how those two papers work is the scores get combined to give an overall result for SPAG. So children that find spelling a bit more challenging, often it pays off sort of doing really trying to learn all those sort of grammar and punctuation facts for the other paper, because it balances it out a bit. On the Wednesday, the 10th of May, it'll be the reading paper. This is the longest of the papers, the ones that probably requires the most stamina, I would say. It's a 60-minute reading paper. Within that, there are 3 short texts and questions to answer about each one. So they read a text, answer the questions, read another one, answer the questions, read the third one, answer the questions. And usually, in terms of what the texts are, one of them's some sort of narrative, like a story. Usually there's a non-fiction piece as well, some sort of information text. And then a third item, which is often something like a poem, or it could be like a diary or a letter, or something a bit different like that. The rest of the week is maths. There are 3 maths papers, and they do 2 of them on Thursday, the 11th of May. The first one is an arithmetic paper, which is purely just calculations, and that lasts for 30 minutes. And then we usually give them 5-10 minutes, a little break, and then we go straight into the next one, which is a 40-minute reasoning paper, and that's more sort of word problems, and it covers the other areas of maths that aren't just pure calculations, things like statistics, questions about shape and measure, that kind of thing. The children typically do very well in the arithmetic paper, so it's worth practicing those sort of the tables and learning those sort of the 4 operations, because the children that find the sort of the word problems and the reasoning a bit harder, again, the scores get combined, so often the arithmetic one really pulls them up. And then we finish off on the Friday with the final maths paper, which is another reasoning, just like the day before, basically covering other areas of maths that weren't covered in the previous day. Now, in terms of the rest of the day that week, obviously we do the test papers pretty much first thing when they come in to get them done out the way. The rest of the day, we might do a little bit of gentle revision, but otherwise we try and take it a bit easy and give them some other things to work on, such as the Year 6 Enterprise project, which we'll be in touch about later in the year. Now, in terms of what happens with results, I know lots of you were asking about this. So the test papers get sent off for marking. We don't mark them. And we receive the results ourselves as a school in early July. And then fairly soon after that, you will receive your child's results in a letter. Now, how the results work, they receive a grade for reading, writing, maths and SPAG. If they've achieved the score expected to pass, that's shown as they've reached expected levels, EXS. There's also an additional high level pass mark for children that score particularly high, and that's called achieving greater depth, sometimes known as GDS. Children that haven't quite got enough marks on this occasion, it's called working towards, it's WTS, which means they're on the track to having passed but haven't quite made it this time. In terms of what happens to those grades. Yes, the secondary schools do receive those. It's one small part, though, of a lot of information that we hand over. And I'd say they probably put more value, to be honest, on the teacher's own judgments, where we think about not just academically, but we do a lot of handover work about what the children like personally as well. So I'd say that's the sort of the larger part of the handover process. But yes, they do receive those results as part of it. So we'll take them into account, and they're looking at things like streaming and so on. But as I say, the teacher's sort of own judgment and the information we pass on personally is usually valued by the secondary schools far more. Now, I mentioned they would get a grade for reading, maths, SPAG, and writing. Now, writing, there isn't a SATs exam as such. There's no test for writing. However, it is still part of the national assessment, which they'll get a grade for. And how that works instead is that the children write over the next few months. They've already started, in fact. The children write a series of independent writes, usually about 6 or 7 or so, covering different genres. They'll write some non-fiction, some fiction. We mark that ourselves. So the class teacher will be assessing them, and we will assess them as a school. And to ensure they're accurate, usually there's some sort of moderation process. So we compare with other schools that are part of Beechwood's Trust. Sometimes local authority checks, sometimes you can have national checks as well. So that is how the writing is assessed. It's very much done in school, and the children create a series of pieces over the next few months, and they've already started doing that anyway. Some of that is completed after the SATs have taken place in the rest of May and into June. So unfortunately, it's not quite the end of the hard work. When the SATs are done, there's still a bit of writing to produce. But as I say, we're already well on our way with that. And we've produced 1 or 2 pieces already that we can use as part of the children's writing collection. Now, in terms of what you can do at home to support, as I know lots of you have asked about this, I mean, I would say, first of all, that the children are doing lots of revision in schools. We've started doing some revision already in things like maths and SPAG, and obviously we've done a few practice papers to get them used to it and gone through it with them. The children are working really hard all day in school. So myself and the other Year 6 teachers don't have expectation at all that the children are spending hours and hours revising at home and things like that. Not at all. We know they're working very hard in school. Things that can be done that support that if you want to, is pretty much the same things that we sort of always say throughout their time at primary school. Just keeping up the wide range of reading helps with their reading skills, but they're also with their spelling, their writing ideas and that as well. Just keeping up the wide range of fiction reading and keeping on learning those times tables is incredibly useful for helping with their math skills, not just for SATs, but for going on to secondary school as well. In addition to that, lots of the children are getting more secure with their tables now and able to recall them really, really speedily and recognise number patterns for what we want. We did send home a little booklet a few weeks ago of maths facts. When I say maths facts, it's things like knowing conversions between, say, I don't know, meters and kilometers, for example, learning some different shape names, knowing which numbers are prime numbers and square numbers, all those sorts of things, which are really, really useful to know for the SATs, because it gives you a few extra marks on having to think or anything. But to be honest, it's most of those sort of useful for secondary school and kind of life skills as well, really. We did send some spellings home as well. Again, a list of sort of the year 3 to 6 lists of words that the government expect them to know. They're basically examples of the types of words they might get asked in a spelling test. So they won't necessarily get those exact words, but they might get words in a similar spelling pattern. So please do use those resources if you want to. If you haven't got those, please let your class teacher know. We've got lots of spares in school. But as I said at the start, no expectation that the children are spending hours and hours working at home at all. They're working very hard in school already. Those are just things there if you want to help top those things up. That's entirely your choice. Similarly, lots of you chose to purchase the CGP revision books, which is great. It's entirely optional though. If it helps with motivation, we're happy for the children to bring them in each week on a Friday, and we can take a look at what they've done that week, and we can give them some stickers and house points and that sort of thing. If it would help motivation, again, absolutely no expectation to at all. It's entirely your choice. If you think your children will benefit from doing those revision packs and coming and showing us, then that's entirely your choice, but completely optional on that one as well. One extra thing to mention. is that we usually invite the children in a little bit early during SATS week, so they can only slightly before school, just so that they can come in and have breakfast, basically. It's a nice way of getting the children in settled, gives them something positive to look forward to, because it's not the most fun week ever doing all those SATS papers. So it's just a nice way of getting them in early, getting them settled, making sure they've got a full stomach before they start those SATS papers. We'll send some more information out about that nearer the time. Basically, it's just something small to get them in a little bit early, share a little bit of food, and just hope to have a nice start to the day together. Now, hopefully I've covered lots of the things you were hoping to find out there, but if you've got any other questions about the SATS process, there should be a Google form that goes out with this email, so with this video. So please do fill that in if you've got a question, and one of us will get back to you as soon as we can. So I hope that was useful. Thanks very much for watching.